You ever have that day at work when it's like something happens and you're like, nobody's untouchable? Well, I remember that day specifically. It's when it kind of changed my entire aspect of everything in tech, changed my entire career. So I was working from home, I think, that day. A friend of mine pinged me. It's like, hey, you get any invites or anything for any weird meetings? I'm like, no, no. He's like, oh, so and so did. I'm like, okay. They got let go. And then panic ensued. I was, I didn't get it, and I kind of went about my day, but it was still in the back of my mind and going through meetings and chatting with people and whatnot. And then I was in just some random meeting doing over some reviews or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the meeting was about. And then got a notification, invite, meeting, 15 minutes. Somebody I've never had a meeting with. And I knew it. I didn't think I was going to be on the chopping block. Yet again, I didn't even know there was a chopping block when this all went down. There had been some talk, but it wasn't like no specifics or nothing like that. Everybody was just kind of speculating, but I didn't think I was on the block. I've been, I was working hard, always volunteered to do things. If I needed to travel for work, I would do it. I'd volunteer for everything, even for stuff I didn't even know what to do. I still volunteered just to help. An extra hand always helps. So I really thought, I built up enough points. But when I saw that, I knew it was done. And, I think I had to wait for like an hour or so for that meeting to happen. And, I'm not faulting anybody, it's business. I get it. 1,000,000%. It just sucks, And in all honesty, when I went back to school, I really thought that getting into tech was like the ideal kind of like safety net almost. I thought it was going to be, not a cushy job, but, it was a stability and, all that. And it's not. It goes on trends, 100% trends. I didn't really want any kind of leadership position or anything of that sort. I wanted to just do quality work, coding, whatever else I could do, It's fun to me. But the world has changed. I mean, I guess we're just another line item, to be honest. But, again, I understand, business is a business. And, if it's got too much overhead, then you got to cut costs. And it's understandable. But, after that meeting, they even said to I remember I was took the rest of the day off because that's a lot to process. Especially being that I literally thought when I got this job, I was like, this is it. I don't want to move. Even though you hear, and especially in tech, that you shouldn't stick around for one spot for more than like 2 years or something like that. But that's not my spiel. I'm loyal. If I like a place, I will stick with you, thick and thin. But this, it was a whole new instance. I've never had to deal with that before. And it's just like, geez, I'm worthless. So, scrambling. I better update my resume about, whatever. But, you know, it just hit hard. Family supportive and all that, of course. But, it's just like, you get that news. It is like a kick to the face, no matter what. I mean, there were a lot of good people let go. So I don't feel like it was any kind of anything. It was just like a random. I know there's probably some sort of algorithm out there with when it comes to corporate layoffs. I don't know. I've heard, but definitely it was like, man, why did I get into tech? You know. But you got to move on, move forward. Just, I haven't been able to snap out of it. But it gave me some insight of, nothing is forever. It really isn't. Especially loyalty. So, got to grow, got to get on board with everything, all the new stuff. And to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of other new things going to happen too. It's not, this is just the beginning stages. I mean, with AI, I think it's going to take a lot of positions, unfortunately. Granted, you're still going to have people that are prompting and all that stuff, and because AI is not perfect by any means, it's a great tool. It's kind of like Ask Jeeves, if anybody remembers that. It wasn't the best, but it helped. Then I just really started looking at all the different possibilities of what I should do. Do I continue on? Do I go back to the restaurant? I don't know. I don't want to go back to school and try to learn something else. It seems like HR is like the only place that's untouchable. But no, I'm not doing that. But it's not even about the job. It just seems like that is the now. I've been reading and watching videos and news articles and whatnot about mass layoffs everywhere. I mean, it's not just, it wasn't just me. It was, huge companies laying off a bunch of people. And it's just like, geez. I mean, the supply and demand, the demand is not there as much as the supply is there. There's too much supply. So that's the reason why I'm going to, trim it. You got to trim it down. So there's got to be some pivoting there. But I don't know where to pivot to. I mentioned before, the other day about starting a TikTok and failed miserably. Maybe there's something out there. Maybe I can just talk to y'all all day, every day. But that's wishful thinking. I know one thing though. Tech is hard. I thought it was going to be. It's not hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. Restaurants, it was very, very, very rough on the body. You're on your feet, you know, 10, 12, 15 hours a day. You're eating while you're standing. Shoot, you're eating while squatted down. I mean, you know. But this is a whole different ball game. Constant mind games and overthinking it. I'm not good enough. All that kind of stuff. It's just it's crazy. So I would say I don't know which is harder. Some would say, oh, restaurants are probably harder. No, I don't know. I think corporate tech is equally there because not only does it just wipes you out just because of the mental stuff. And that's the hard part. It's not the coding, it's not the reviews, it's not any of that. It's not going into the office. You have to be mentally tough for that. But the world's changing and, we gotta adapt or get left behind. So, we have to learn the new rules of the new world. It's scary. But maybe, that's just a window opening somewhere else.